So in this video, I'm going to talk about changing a fraction to a decimal. Actually, that's really written badly. Changing. I have a hard time writing with these iPads. Changing a fraction to a decimal. So if you're lucky enough that your fraction is out of 100 or out of 1,000 or out of anything that is a power of 10, then it's easy, right? So this is the hundredths place, so we know we've got to go 2 places after the decimal. Since that's just the number 3, it would be 0, 3. So that would be 0.03. That's 300ths. This is the thousandths place, so 1, 2, 3. So that would be 0, 2, 3. That would be 23 thousandths. So that's pretty easy. But what if it's harder? What if it's like 3/8? So a couple of things. One is there are certain fractions that you should know what the decimal equivalent is, and we're going to talk about those. But the other thing you have to have in your head is that whenever you have a fraction sign, that means divide. So that means 3 divided by 8. Just like if I wrote, I don't know, 10 over 5, that means 10 divided by 5, which equals 2. So 3 divided by 8. So we're dividing 3 by 8. I'm going to do it with long division. So the number I'm dividing is 3, so that goes in the long division box, right? The way you want to think about it is 3 is being divided by 8, so the 3 goes into the box being divided. The 8 is doing the dividing, it goes out. And I'm going to put a decimal point here, and I can put a bunch of zeros here, just to show you how it works. The decimal point comes straight up, and then I do long division. 8 does not go into 3, 8 goes into 30. Let's see, 8 times 4 is 32, so 8 times 3 is 24. Subtract, you get 6, bring down the 0. 8 goes into 60, let's see, 8 times 5 is 40, so 8 times 6 is 48, 8 times 7 is 56, so there's a 7 times 8 is 56, and then subtract, you get 4. And then bring down the 0. 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. There's no remainder. We're done. 0.375. Okay. And I just want to show you that if I did that on calculator, I'm going to go to Safari, and I'm going to do 3 divided by 8, and I get 0.375, just to show. Okay. So let's go back here, and I want to show you something else. Let's say I was doing 2/3 as a decimal. Okay, so the 2 goes into the division box, the 3 comes here, and I do my division. I get 2.0, I add some zeros, bring the decimal point up. Okay, 3 doesn't go into 2, so that's a 0. 3 goes into 20. Let's see, 3 times 6 is 18, so that's 6. 6 times 3 is 18. And I get a 2. Now notice what happens. I bring down the 0, I have another 20. I started with 20, I have another 20. I'm going to get a 6 again. 6 times 3 is 18. Bring down the 2. I keep getting 20s. So the 6 is just going to keep repeating, and I know that by doing the long division. So that's where I would write 0.6, and I put this bar over here to show that the 6 is repeating. Now, there are some decimals, like I could get something like 0.23 with both the 2 and the 3 repeating. That would be 0.232323. Or I could get something like 0.16 with the 6 repeating. So that would be 0.16666. So those are all perfectly reasonable. Let's show you what that looks like on a calculator. So if I did, let's see, if I did 2 divided by 3, right, you can see I get 0.66666, but that's actually 0.6 repeated. If I needed to round that, I would actually round it as, depending on how many place values, I would round it as 0.667, because I would round up to the 6 up to 7. But I could also write it as 0.6 repeated. The problem with 0.6 repeated is that you can't really do anything with it. You can't. So remember I said at the very beginning when we talked about decimals that the whole point of a decimal is to be able to add them, subtract them, multiply, and divide them. And you can't do that with repeating decimals. So repeating decimals are kind of useless, to be honest with you. And so almost always in the real world, nobody works with repeating decimals. They round the decimal to the place value that they need to the so that they get the right amount of error. So that's changing changing a fraction to a decimal means you're doing division. Most of the time, I'm going to let you do that on a calculator. So let's say you wanted to change like 3/7 to a decimal. You would take your calculator out and do 7 divided by 3. And let's do that. 7 divided by 3. Sorry, wrong way. 3 divided by 7. Ah, it's very common to make that mistake. So I am glad I caught it. 7 divided by 3 is wrong. It's 3 divided by 7. It's the numerator divided by the denominator. One way to think about that, let's say I did do 7 divided by 3, I would get a number like, I would get 2.33, etc. That's bigger than 3/7. This is less than 1. This is more than 1. So that's one way to tell you did it wrong. That's sort of the gut check that you made a mistake. But what I want to do is 3 divided by 7. So let me do that. Oops. 3, no, not 73. 3, no, not 73. 3 divided by 7 equals, and there's one of those nasty long decimals. But let me just actually, I wonder if I can do this. 0.428571. Let me read it. 428571. 428571. 428571. The 42857. Oops, I didn't want to do that. I don't know why percentage just went in there. But the 42857 is actually repeating. But most of the time I would take that result, 0.42857, that's actually a repeating decimal. But most of the time I probably want the thousandths place, which is here, that's the 8. So I would round that up because there's a 5. So 0.429. So 3/7 is around, not exactly, decimals are not exact, is around 0.429.